And we're coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti, it's Boomer and Gio on the Fan, simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Wednesday morning, man. We are back in the friendly confines of the studio here today. We were at the friendly confines, the friendliest of confines, at Due Process yesterday, but back here in the studio ahead of Game 4 of the NBA Finals, and I really didn't understand how good we had it until the Knicks lost a game, because we were on this incredible run where we would come in here and everybody was happy and we were talking about how historic this Knicks run was, and it was all positivity, it was all pats on the back, it was all greatness. And now after one loss, it's just everybody being out offended by the next guy about the scummers outside in the city that are ripping everything up. And then we have to talk about that horrible negativity because those losers are ruining the city, and hopefully it doesn't get any worse than it was after Game 3. You've got all the talk about the officials and fixing games and fouls and everything else. Man, I just want another Knicks win in the worst way for so many reasons. This was not a fun day yesterday, having to parse through all the negative things that come with a playoff run when you lose a game, but I'm expecting them to come back, bounce back, and win this game, and that's what we should expect after watching them throughout this postseason. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Jim. Doing great. And, did you see what Jose Alvarado said?
I did, yes, about Victor Wembanyama. Yep.
Well, Jose Alvarado has already done one thing in Game 2, and we saw that where he lowered his shoulder into the solar plexus of one Victor Wembanyama, and then comes out yesterday and says, if this happens again, this is the last time it's going to happen. Yeah. And good for him, and I'm glad somebody has said something, and let's face it.
What's Jose Alvarado going to do, though? Like untie his shoes? You know what I mean?
No, but there's a lot of things you could do, and especially now, I know Stephon Marbury said that Wembanyama was playing dirty, but also Jay Williams came out and said it, and there are more and more players talking about the way that he is playing and some of the things that he is doing. They would know better than I do. Yeah. I only watch the game just like you do, just like every other Knick fan out there. We watch it closely, we watch it intently, but we also know that we do see things, and we have seen things on the court that are just not normal to a basketball game. This has turned into basically a rugby match, it seems like, with a ball, and guys are going after each other. While I do appreciate the intensity, it's not basketball. It's not the way basketball was meant to be played, but I also understand that they are fighting for a championship. This is an opportunity for the Knicks and the Knick team to actually reach the pinnacle of success in their own careers, in their own sport. And, of course, you have the younger Spurs who are going to try to do everything they can to disrupt Jalen Brunson. And that's where the impetus of all of this starts. And I would just say hopefully both teams will get back to playing basketball tonight. But I doubt it. I think it's going to be physical. I think the Knicks have been challenged. I think that they're going to come out. I think they're going to challenge them right back. They're not going to put up with any of this crap. And, I'm amazed that you and I, after 3 games, we're discussing flagrant ones. We're discussing possible suspensions. Yeah. We're discussing closeouts and, feet under feet after guys are shooting. I mean, it's just insane what 3 games has already garnered in terms of conversation and criticism.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because, of course, the Spurs getting away with more than the Knicks are getting away with. And I totally agree that you have to protect your star, and I loved Jose Alvarado being a native New Yorker and wearing that Knicks uniform and being a part of this team. Feels like he's been here for 10 years, and he's only been here for a little bit. I love what he said. But also, I want to make sure that, the best revenge you can get is just beating this team. And we've said it before about, whether it's a hockey series where a team is trying to get under the skin of the other stars, and then that throws them off their game. We talked about it with Cat last year before he turned into this player that we've seen, this great player this year in the postseason where it was easily to get to him. So I don't want them coming out and trying to exact physical revenge on the San Antonio Spurs, and that being the thesis statement going into Game 4. Like, yeah, you got to protect your star. I understand. But you start getting in the mud and doing that stuff, that plays into the Spurs' hands, especially if the series is going to continue to be called in the way that it is.
Which is amazing to me because the Spurs have some really good players. They don't have to get themselves down into the weeds or the mud, I should say, to play like this. I mean, they have really quality, good players, just like the Knicks do. And I understand what they're trying to do to Jalen Brunson. And again, I said that's the center point of all of this. And I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over and over again, mainly because I am. I go back to what Becky Hammond said early on about Jalen and who he is and how other teams would view him in a situation like this. And remember, she's got that tie to the Spurs under Greg Popovich. She coached there for many years. So she was internally in those meetings, listening to what was being said about, all types of players, especially shorter point guards, which is exactly what Jalen Brunson is. So he's had his work cut out for him, and I appreciate what he has done and how he's done it. I expect, again, a bounce-back game by these guys tonight, and I don't think they're going to be pushed around. I think enough is enough already. And by the way, the NFL officials, NBA officials are also human beings. They are they have X, they have Instagram. They know what's going on. They hear it from the office. The NBA obviously knows what's going on, or they don't put a rules official on ESPN discussing potential suspensions and potential, flagrant ones. I mean, I guess Wembanyama has got a couple flagrant fouls already, and they accumulate points. And when you get to a certain point, like Draymond Green did, you could be suspended.
Yeah, in a finals game. Yeah, right.
For a finals game, which would be asinine because when Draymond Green did that, it turned and flipped that whole entire series.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Now, that's not the case right here. I mean, I think if Wembanyama's out of the game, then the Knicks will definitely steamroll these guys. But there are all these sorts of things that are going on right now that is somewhat gamesmanship, but also there are a lot of questions about the way this thing has been officiated. And I'm sure that the Spurs fans see certain things that we're not seeing that they could point out. It's the whole what if game, or it's about like, all right, so he did this. Now, what about this over here? How come this wasn't called? Because that's what we're doing as Knicks fans.
Yeah, no, of course. I also think too, it's like it's a bit of a catch-22 for the same people that are saying you have to match their physicality, you have to retaliate. Those same people are saying that the refs are slanted in the Spurs' favor.
So why would you aggravate that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of a tough thing. So I do think because of all of the noise that there is going to be an evening out. That's just the way that it works. Like even in the NFL, you see makeup calls that happen. I really do think because there's been so much talk about it. It was a big discrepancy. Mike Brown talked about it. It's been breathlessly talked about for the last couple of days. The fact that everybody in the world, probably including Spurs fans, thinks that if Victor Wembanyama was if it was a role player rather that was doing what Victor Wembanyama was doing,
he'd be suspended.
Right. So the whole world believes that. And when you say that everybody's hearing it, I do agree. Like the NBA wants a couple of things. They definitely want the series to go as long as possible because the ratings are unbelievable. But what they don't want is people to think that their product is more of a fraud product than it already is. And I'm not saying that if the Knicks win a championship, it's hollow. What I'm saying is the NBA has been accused of manufacturing things more than any other league in pro sports.
Yes, it feels that way for sure.
And sometimes it's benefited the Knicks. I fully believe there was a frozen envelope for Patrick Ewing. Great, good, happy about it. We've got dirty officials. We've got guys on the take. We've got all of these things. And yes, so what is more important to Adam Silver? The money in the short term that you get from 7 games and amazing advertising revenue and all of that, or more people believing that your league is a farce?
How about talking about just looking at the overall playoffs and how many short series there were?
Yeah.
Obviously, in the Eastern Conference with the Knicks, it was, with the exception of one series that won 6 games, every other, they only got a total of 8 games out of those series.
Yeah.
So think about that for a second. That's a lot of lost revenue. That's a potential 6 other games. 6 other games of revenue that they lost. I mean, so I could fully understand the incentive for the NBA to deal with, the real numbers here, and the real numbers behind the scene are the amount of money that they possibly lost without having those 6 games being played. Now, I know Jim Dolan wants his team to win. Don't get me wrong. I know he does.
But if he had his druthers, he'd win it in Game 6.
His Rangers did not make the playoffs, yes. Right. If he financially looked at it and said, hey, if I really want to be smart here, I want to win it in Game 6.
Yeah, if he could guarantee it, that's the way he'd want it.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Believe me, like they want a full series. They want to sell out as many Garden dates as they possibly can in situations like this because you see how the fans are reacting.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, and we've seen it in other sports. Like we've talked about the juice baseball. We've talked about baseball turning its head when it came to the steroid era because they were coming out of that strike and they needed people back. We've talked about how the rules have changed because you need star quarterbacks to remain on the field. And if you just touch the guy, now it's a penalty. All of those things, they do happen in other sports. However, the NBA is far and above manipulation compared to the manipulation that happens for what they want compared to these other sports. And I think that you really want to kill a sport. It's having people not believe that what they're watching is above board.
And there's another part of all of this that we're not even talking about that also amplifies the intensity of what's going on here. And that is the FanDuel, of course.
The betting
platforms that are out there, the prediction platforms that are out there, and the people who are participating in those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
you have a guy has $1,000 on a game, and the game is twisted because of 2 bad foul calls.
And I'm pretty sure the books have been because Evan's been talking about how he's been betting the Knicks almost every single game, and he's made a lot of money doing that. He's not the only one. And he's doing it for his emotional hedge he talks about. There's a lot of Knicks fans that are betting on the Knicks, a lot of Knicks fans that believe in the Knicks. I feel like these books, because the Knicks have been underdogs in spots that you wouldn't expect them to be.
Like the first 2 games.
Yeah, I feel like the books have been taking a bath on these things. Quite frankly,
yeah.
I think that the public is winning a lot of money on the Knicks, and the books are not doing well in the NBA postseason, just based on what I've seen and heard and looking at the line. So yeah, I mean I hate watching games and thinking that there's something nefarious going on. I mean, but I'm also not naive and I'm not a dummy. I know the NBA is capable of saying, hey, if you can, let's move this thing along to 7 games. I totally understand that happens, but it's like the NBA, the officials did not make it impossible for the Knicks to win that game. And if they do at some point, that's when the top's got to blow off of this thing.
The problem is who's getting called flagrant fouls against, who's getting technical fouls called against.
Game-changing calls.
Guys are pushing each other. How come one guy gets the technical and the other guy's not getting the technical? Have the Knicks shot a technical foul shot?
In this series, I don't think so, no.
So, the interesting thing to me is we watched the closeout with Jalen Brunson.
Talking about the reckless closeout?
Yeah, the reckless closeout.
Yeah.
And then that's a flagrant foul. And you had the same thing with Wembanyama and Josh Hart. And Wembanyama and Josh Hart were inside the 3-point line. Brunson stayed outside the 3-point line. Champagnie shot the ball from outside. Brunson was inside the 3-point line. Champagnie shot the ball from the outside and was moving forward. I guess, which is a natural reaction, I'm assuming. But it wasn't like Brunson came down or was underneath him outside the 3-point line where he started. And again, I'm a fan. I'm just watching this. I'm trying to look at this as something to make sense to me. And that call makes no sense to me, especially when Wembanyama does it to Josh Hart and it's not even called.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's example after example. That's why I do think we're going to get a regression to the mean here in Game 4 when it comes to the officials.
I don't know, man. I would think that this officiating pool is watching tape. The officiating pool is hearing all the noise. They're human beings. They're around here. They're in New York. They pick up a newspaper. They're reading about it. They go on X. They're reading about it. If they go on any news site, ESPN, CBS Sports, it doesn't matter. They're all writing about it. And I think it goes back to what you just said. If there is a questionable call tonight and it somehow, some way leads to another win, the intensity from the fan base of both teams, for that matter, is going to be even more intense than it already is. I mean, it's just going to keep ramping up if we keep seeing stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, too, like the NBA official, and this is why you've seen like dirty officials, this is why it's questioned all the time, can really make more of an impact, I think, on easily make an impact on a game without being questioned to a certain point before some of the other leagues. And it takes a lot for people to really think, because it's super egregious things where you're like, all right, this now really doesn't smell right. But you can, as a NBA official, you could, if you wanted to, take the one team's best player off the floor and keep the other one on.
You saw fouls calls on Karl Anthony Towns or Mikal Bridges, and you're making these phantom calls up, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Now
I know there's a challenge system now, which helps, but still you only have X amount, then you're losing timeouts and the whole thing. We understand how it works.
The last thing I really want to do is even take into account or even question the integrity of the officials. I've known people who are officials at every level of every sport, and 99.9% of those people are tremendous, and they do have integrity. And I don't like questioning the officiating. I just don't. All I want is answers, and all I want is consistency. That's all we can ask for as fans.
Well,
and if our player, like we said last year, if our player, Karl Anthony Towns, is taking stupid fouls, and we admitted that those were fouls. Those were not ticky-tack fouls.
Right.
Now, this year, a completely different player, completely different set of circumstances, and a couple boneheaded foul calls on him where he committed nothing, at least in the eye of the beholder. We didn't think he did anything. So it's not like we're sitting here just railing against the officials all the time. Last year we were railing against the player himself.
Well, of course, but the conditions are ripe for conspiracy theories when it comes to this. And I don't even think what we saw was a conspiracy theory. I think it's just facts, is the fact that you have a team that's down 0-2. The ratings have been absolutely astronomical compared to other NBA finals. How much money that creates. You've got a series where, you've got one team up 2-0 that's coming home, and you've got a superstar in Victor Wembanyama that's getting all the calls. So it's like everything that you would think the NBA would want, coupled with some of the egregious leaning that we saw from the officials to the Spurs. How could you not think what we're thinking? You'd have to be completely, absolutely, totally in the dark to not have some of those thoughts. But once again, like I said yesterday, the Knicks still had opportunities. I loved what Karl Anthony Towns said. The officials didn't prevent the Knicks from winning the game, and they played one of their worst games of the year. So I don't think that the officials are going to hold the Knicks back from winning a championship, but there's no doubt that it was egregiously slanted towards the San Antonio Spurs in Game 3.
So we just spent 3/4 of the opening on the officials and the calls and everything else. I want to go back to the beginning of the game and the way that the Knicks opened the game and where they were throwing passes and who they were throwing passes to and blind passes and turnovers. And the same thing starting at the beginning of the second half. And, I was thinking they're tight. The Knicks are tight. They're playing in front of their fans. The expectations are through the roof. Fans are paying $10,000 a seat to go see them, or in some cases $1 million for 2 seats. People are talking about parades. There's a million different things going on, and these players, they've been saying all the right things, like we got to get all of this crap out of our head. We just got to keep playing. But there was a level of tightness that I had seen, with you on Monday night that I hadn't seen, especially at the beginning of the game and the beginning of the second half.
You sense the tightness?
Dude, what was that then?
Yeah,
what was it? Again, can you tell me a pass to nowhere? When was the last time you saw a Knicks team do something like that?
I know what you mean. I know you could. But here I don't.
Look, they are players too. They hear it, they know it, they know what's going on.
So here's what I would say though. So all right, it's hard to deny the first quarter. Why in the third quarter is the same stuff happening?
I don't know.
After you came back, took the lead, had this great second quarter, played amazing,
and then you played like crap the beginning of the second quarter.
So that's what
the third quarter.
That's what I don't understand.
I don't understand it either, and that's where Jalen Brunson. He had a couple turnovers. Like what? What? Yeah. That's not him. That's not who he is.
No,
nope. I'm sure he'll be better tonight, and I'm sure he'll be determined. He has got that. He's been professional throughout this whole thing. He always talks about getting better, doing smarter things, being better with the ball. he certainly hasn't taken anything for granted. But they're also going after him. And I just don't know if his knee is still bothering him, or if it is bothering him, what effect is it truly having on his ability to be the Jalen Brunson that we have seen since he's gotten here?
Yeah, well, these are the things that make the legends, and some adversity is there. We'll see how he and the team responds tonight. It is Boomer and Gio just getting started on this Wednesday morning on the Fan